Imagine a society where black individuals are randomly gathered up, taken from their homes, stripped of their freedoms, and destined to live the rest of their lives in a society where bondage and misery are all they will ever know. If you thought this is only a description of the black condition during the time of slavery in America, you would be wrong. In Michelle Alexander's New York Times best-selling monograph, The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness, we see this exact scenario occurring in modern society. The basic premise of Alexander's work is that racial prejudice is still occurring through the establishment of an undercaste system disguised in the mass incarceration of millions of black men across the country. Alexander proposes this new Jim Crow has efficiently alienated the black man from his primary means of power and government influence, just as efficiently as the black codes, literacy tests, and poll taxes of the past. The national government, starting with the administration of Richard Nixon in the 70s and continuing for the next 4 decades, have accomplished this goal. For the last 40 years, president after president has assured the public there would be a tougher stance against crime, specifically a war on drugs. Alexander shows how minor offenses, especially drug possession, has efficiently put huge sectors of the black population into the criminal system, either directly behind bars or with criminal records on probation. This action effectively takes away the black man's ability to participate in government and provide for his family. Disenfranchisement is a reality for convicted felons across the country. Once a black man completes his sentence, he will find it almost impossible to find work because of the discrimination he will face in the job market. He will be denied government assistance for food and housing because of his criminal record. This leads to a vicious cycle of poverty, broken homes, and crime, which will have a huge effect on other members of the family. Alexander wrote her monograph during the Obama administration, but her thesis still holds true today. We should be seeing greater progress, and the decriminalization of minor drug infractions is the starting place. Rather than spending billions on building and supporting a prison system unfairly skewed against the dark-skinned man, money should be invested in inner-city infrastructure for jobs, education, and government assistance. Alexander served in the American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU, early in her career, and also served as a clerk for Supreme Court Justice Harry Blackmun. She shows great knowledge about constitutional law, especially her analysis of the Fourth Amendment and the procedures for the enforcement of searches and seizures in recent years. She exposes the flaws of the current system by identifying the tremendous freedom law enforcement has gained concerning searches. The first important change is the amount of money which has been designated to law enforcement during this movement of getting tougher on crime. Police departments get more money for more convictions, which encourages unnecessary and questionable searches. All that is required is probable cause. Minor traffic violations turn into searches for drugs. A suspect who refuses a search of their car is oftentimes still part of a search by a canine unit. Alexander explains that thousands of these types of searches may only result in a few arrests, but the success will bring in more money for the department and puts more minorities in jail. The supposed popularity of crack cocaine was a prime target in many searches. Often small amounts of marijuana would be confiscated, but any possession of drugs has become a major criminal offense. Many black neighborhoods labeled as dangerous and criminal are often flooded with more law enforcement. Often SWAT units are used to bust into the suspects' homes. Because of the number of searches of suspected homes, mistakes have been made. Innocent bystanders' homes have been entered and owners have been shot. The more police officers in a given location, the greater the chances searches will take place by law enforcement using stop and frisk protocols. Drugs will be found and arrests will be made. Alexander explains, however, there is no evidence to prove that many of these targeted neighborhoods are any more dangerous or drug infested than any other comparable neighborhood of other ethnicities. Alexander's description of the current system presents a bleak picture of the world of the dark-skinned man in America. The end results of mass incarceration have happened under the guise of social progress. These changes have occurred very slowly, but very effectively over a long period of time. There are so many components involved in the process that change will be difficult. However, Alexander shows progress is being made. The problem has been identified and changes in the system are occurring, but probably not for the altruistic reasons we would hope. Politicians are realizing the value of the incarcerated population's vote, and working to garner those votes will be the deciding factor in bringing about positive change. An interesting side note is how the new Jim Crow phrase has entered the political vocabulary recently. In the Texas Senate race, Beto O'Rourke was misquoted by the Ted Cruz camp to help Cruz gain the support of the conservative right. O'Rourke used the phrase New Jim Crow in one of his campaign stops, but he was making a statement about the flaws of the current system. Cruz claimed he was criticizing law enforcement. The tactic worked, and Cruz's tough rhetoric about confronting crime helped him gain re-election to the Texas Senate. The new Jim Crow was written before the Donald Trump administration, but it would be interesting to see Alexander's views today. It's not hard to imagine she would agree the current administration has continued to alienate the black populace with its hate speak for minorities. Trump's deconstruction of the Obama administration's social progress has sent a message that discrimination is acceptable. The Black Lives Matter movement has tried to shine a light on the problems of the current system of law enforcement. But Alexander would agree law enforcement has become too much a system of social and racial control rather than a system designed for crime control. Until these new issues are fixed, racial discrimination will continue to flourish.